everybody, to season 2 of the Travel CEO Sessions. My name is Sundey Gardner, and I am super excited for you all to be here. While we let people join in comments, let me know where you are watching from and what you are drinking this afternoon. And we're about to wrap up chapter 4 of 2025. So let me know what's going on and how have you guys been the last couple of weeks. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our 3-week challenge inside of our CEO Network group. Let me know in comments where you guys are watching from. Let me see if I can get the comments up. To our live session, and you're drinking morning coffee because it is the morning time. So good morning to you. And so we're going to jump in and get started. As I mentioned, if you are new to this channel, new to our Travel CEO session, we join every week at this time to talk all things about your business from the perspective of you no longer doing this business as a hustle, but actually showing up as the travel CEO that you are. And so if you've ever felt stuck in your business between, listen, we're just coming off of wave season, or maybe some of you guys have just finishing up wave season and you're feeling booked, or you're wishing that you were booked and maybe you're feeling a little bit burnt out, this episode is really going to change how you do things in your business. So what we're going to be doing today, what we're going to be talking about today is how you can grow your travel business like a CEO. Instead of just stacking more clients on top of more clients and not really allowing yourself the room to breathe, and you become overextended. How many of you guys feel like that, where you are just giving and giving and giving and giving, and things are not necessarily panning out the way that you want? Maybe you feel like you're trying to be everywhere all of the time and you don't have systems in place and you're trying to grow the business, and all of that seems overwhelming. If you feel like that, let me know in comments that that's you. And if you are watching this in the replay, that is okay. You can also let me know in comments if you feel like that is you as well. Because what I do know about being a bit of a workaholic, and trying, so Tasha says that she's working full time and she's doing her business on the side. There's only a certain amount of hours in the day, right? There's only a certain amount of time that you have. And if you want to grow the business, you don't get more hours in the day, right? So you've got to be able to do things smarter and more strategically around what you do and what you dedicate your time to. And so most travel advisors are stuck in these two sort of seasons that I call them. One is either feast, where you've got a lot of quotes, you've got a lot of clients coming at you from all directions. And then many of you all are in famine, where you don't have any leads coming in, you don't have anybody asking for quotes, and you're trying to figure out where the next business is going to come from. Let me know in comments, where are you right now? Are you in feast or are you in famine? Because the problem is that oftentimes when you're in these cycles, you are confusing your busyness with business. And so when you're in this cycle of I'm doing a lot of things, maybe I'm posting on social media, I'm doing quotes, I'm doing all these things, that doesn't necessarily always translate into booked business. So we want to make sure that we distinguish between the two of them. So just because you're working harder doesn't mean that it's the right strategy for your travel business. And so burnout, being burnt out in your travel business, is no badge of honor. Like, I don't want you to think that, oh, I'm doing a lot of stuff. And I'm going to give you an example of what busyness is. When I first opened, and this is before I even was in the travel business, we had my story for you all is when I first opened at my first business, it was a barbershop. And I'm a people person. I like to talk, but I really like being behind my desk. And I like working on stuff, websites. I like working on email lists. I didn't really like working on email lists back then, but I liked the busyness of being behind the scenes and not actually doing what it took to get more clients. How many of you guys feel like that? You're working and you're tinkering on things. And so I felt super busy in the business, and this was in our barbershop. I felt busy, but we had nobody opening the door. So we had actual brick and mortar and nobody was opening the door. Fast forward to my online business, same thing. When I started my online business, I was busy doing a lot of stuff. I was posting on social media. I was tinkering with my websites. I like to tinker with websites. I was tinkering with my websites, trying to figure out what templates. I got business cards, I got postcards, and I did all this busy work. But it didn't mean that I had more people asking me for quotes. I didn't have more business. And if you are in famine and you feel like you're busy, you look up and you start to think, what the hell am I doing this all for? Why am I doing this? I don't have any sales. I don't have any money in my pocket. I don't have any more clients that I'm working with. I don't get to do the thing that I like to do. And so what we want to make sure is that we have a business that doesn't have us busy doing things that aren't going to get us to what we want. And you only can grow if you're growing, right? And so this business that we are building, it is definitely not a sprint race to the finish line. It is a long treadmill walk to get to what you want. And so what we want to do is we want to stop busy activity. We want you to be strategic about what you do. And so let's talk about an example of one of the clients that I've worked with in the past. Her name was Jasmine. When she started working with me, she was booking about $5,000 a month on paper. So it looked good, right? It sounds great. You're like, man, you know, some of you guys who are saying I'm in famine, you're thinking to myself, wow, 5,000 a month would be awesome. But I want you to sort of peel this back, because even in your good seasons, this may be what you're dealing with, is that she built every single itinerary from scratch. How many of you guys are doing that? Are you building every single itinerary from scratch? So somebody gives you a quote and you get up and you don't have any bags of tricks. You go to the computer and you start building it from scratch. This is what Jasmine was doing. She was answering every single message late at night. She had a full-time job. She was doing this on the side, and she was answering messages to try and stay up ahead, direct messages every night. She was working upwards sometimes till about midnight. She was saying yes to every single body who asked for a quote because she didn't want to lose any business. How many of you guys may feel like that? Her biggest fear in her business wasn't necessarily failure. It was the fact that she would get into this sort of famine cycle that I'm talking about. What she realized is that it wasn't success. She was getting the business. It was her lack of structure. She felt like she knew that she didn't need more clients, but she needed, in order for her to grow, she needed some sort of system. So, and this may be your situation as well. If you are feeling like you are in a famine situation and you don't have clients, you know you want to grow, but you don't necessarily know what you need to do to get there. And so this session that we're going to go over today is really about establishing the blueprint for your business and for growth. So let's talk about step one. Tasha, before I go, want to make sure I acknowledge your comments. You've booked some trips coming up, but famine because I have a lot of quotes, but no one is booking. All right, so we want to turn that around. So the ones that you have, this is step one. For those that are getting books, you've had some bookings, is you got to find what your leverage is. You need to identify the one service. And I'm not talking about destination. When I talk about service, I'm talking about an actual service that you perform in your business. And I want you to identify who is that client that you want to perform that service with. Don't tell me I want to work with people who travel, right? Because that's not really a client. It's just that's a person. I want you to be super specific about the kind of people you want to help get out of town, right? Where's the channel that you got that last client? And so when I talk about channel, what was it, a referral? Did you find them on social media? Was it at your church? Where was it that you got the last client that you performed a service with, the type of client that you liked and was the bomb.com, right? Because that's the one thing that I want you to double down on. That's the one thing that's going to generate results for you, and figure out how you can get better at doing that one thing. Most travel advisors, they're running on instinct instead of insight. They're trying everything from A to Z and trying to figure out what's going to stick. And they keep throwing things at the wall. Like if you are that person that's just trying to see what will stick, it's very difficult for you to repeat because you haven't documented it. You don't know what's sticking or not. And if that's where you are, that's okay. We're going to talk about what you can do. So let's talk about what shifts that you need to make in your business. So forgive me, I don't know what's going on with my dogs, but I suspect that it's it's Amazon. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to look at the last 5 to 7 successful bookings that you've had in your business. And I want you to ask yourself, I want you to ask yourself these questions. Which type of service had the highest amount of profit for you? So if you're charging, and I always say, if you have to forgive me, that they're barking really badly. So I just want to make sure that there isn't anything wrong. Okay, they've stopped. All right. So which one of the services that you did? I'm not talking about commission here. I'm not talking about which supplier gave you the most commission. I'm talking about the service that you perform, because what I want you guys to really start to shift is that you are more than the destination that you sell. It is what you give to your clients is what you should be focused on, which is the services that you provide. So when you think about what service you provided, one, are you charging for that service? And if you're not, that's absolutely an opportunity for you to do. But let's just assume that you are charging for your services. What is the one service? I've got a client. I was just working on her account a couple of days ago, and she does weddings. She does regular travel quotes. So she has a service for wedding planning. She has a service for general travel, and I think she had a service for adventure travel, right? For those services, I would say, what is the one that you get the most common of out of the services that you perform? Which gives you the highest volume, the highest profit, right? So let's say for your wedding services, you charge 300. For your general travel, you charge 150. Maybe for adventure travel, that's a little bit more complex. Maybe you do 500 for that. Which one of those do you get more frequently? I want you to ask that question. The second question I want you to ask yourself is, which booking flowed the easiest for you? So out of those 3 services that I just gave you, which was the easiest? Which one do you enjoy the most? Which creates the most amount of pleasure for you in terms of the kind of work that you want to do? What kind yields the least amount of resistance from your client? It's low maintenance for you to deliver, right? You have a clear process around that. Great outcome every single time you do it. What service that you do gives you that kind of results? And then I want you to ask yourself, where did those clients come from? Was it Instagram, direct message? Did you get it from a referral? Do you have a lead magnet that actually worked and that's where the person came from? You need to understand where your people are coming from. Which offer? Next question I want you to ask is, which offer did your client rave about? Was it about without you over delivering? This is really a key part here, is when you think about your client's feedback on what you do, what is it that they say the most of? What is it that they say in response? It was effortless for you to do it. This becomes your sweet spot. This is the place that you need to focus on. If you're doing all types of service, you're delivering all types of quotes to all different types of people. You've got services that are high end, low end, mid end. You've got everything everywhere. I want you to ask yourself these questions, because when you identify where your path of least resistance is and you focus on that, that's where you're going to be able to see some growth. So for Tasha, you say that you've got all types of bookings. I want you to evaluate those bookings that you've got. What's the common denominator about them? Where are those people coming from? So even if they're not booking, there's still some information within what you've got to determine where are they coming from. Is someone referring these bad bookings to you, right? So we want to cut that off, right? Are they coming from social media? Are they coming from, what's the source? What about the booking request are you liking? Are you doing the quotes without getting paid? That's an opportunity too. So evaluate what you have and then start to do, assess what's working well and what's not. Those things that are working well, keep doing them. The things that are not, stop doing them. So like if you're getting bookings and they're coming from all of your friends and family, it's time to stop the referral process with your friends and family and potentially implement something different, right? Maybe give them better incentive to find a particular type of person in their referral network, right? There's always chance for improvement. If you've got data and you've got action, you've got momentum, what I want you to do is evaluate that momentum. Step 2 is I want you to upgrade what's already working. So I want you to generate Your goal here is to take what's generating you action or outcome and turn it into a machine, which means that you're going to get it to do that same thing over and over again. So just the example that I gave for Tasha, where she's actually getting referrals, they're not turning into bookings. We want to figure out what's going on. Like, where are these referrals or where are these bookings coming from? And we want that to become your machine so that you're always getting booking or at least quote requests. So maybe it's the type of client that you're getting that's not the right type of client. So we want to take that, again, booking or quote engine, and we want to point it at the right type of client. Here's what most advisors do when they get stuck, is that they keep recreating a service that could easily be standardized. And what I mean by that is that you keep doing the same thing manually, which takes you a lot of time, is not getting you results because you haven't evaluated it. You're not doing anything differently that's going to get you the kinds of results that you want. So standardize what you can. I don't believe in automation prematurely. And what I mean by that is I don't believe that you should automate everything out the gate. I believe that you should automate what's working and you should standardize those things that are working. You upgrade things that are getting you the results that you want, and then you price it accordingly. So if you're getting bookings, I'm sorry, because you didn't say bookings. If you're getting quotes and no one's booking, there's something broken on the front end of the system, just based on the way this all works. If you're getting a bunch of quotes, that means you're in front of people. They're asking you to quote. I suspect that you're not charging. That's my number one evaluation, that you're not charging. And you probably are giving them way too much before you've even positioned yourself as the person that they want to move forward. If I charge $500 for a quote for fill in the blank, whatever that service entails, right? And people are paying me $500 and they're not going to the next step, I'm not going to be so upset about that because I've been paid for my work. Does that make sense? And your audience is teachers. So you've got a really great opportunity here, Tasha. You already know who your audience is, and you actually have the fact that you're specializing in teachers. You've got a unique opportunity here because you're coming up on the summertime. And even though it may be too late to plan for this summer, you know what their vacation cycle is like. You know, because you're a teacher as well. So you know what the vacation cycle is. You could put together last minute deals for the end of the summer, getting them ready for back to school. You could be having their next summer plan. You could be having the holiday breaks planned. You could create services around their holiday schedule and their time off because you uniquely know what that is. But what I really want to focus on when it comes to upgrading your services is I want you to ask yourself, can you productize the service into a signature offer? And that sort of just lends itself into what I just mentioned, Tasha, for you, is you service teachers. You know their cycle better than anyone else, right? Because you are also a teacher. So you know what their ebbs and flows are. You know when their downtime is. You know that they're about to go on a big downtime during the summer. So like I said, this summer is probably too late, but you know that they're about to potentially have a fall break. You know that they're going to have a winter break, and you know that spring break is coming up. So that signature service that you can be creating is give it a name. This service would be plan your non-teacher time, right? That's not very sexy, but you get what I'm saying, is that you give it a name, you build a repeatable process behind it. Teachers have an ebb and flow, and most people who have a very specific audience, their audience has an ebb and flow, and it's your responsibility to understand it and speak to it. So when I say upgrade your service, it's really around you creating a signature offer that's going to cater to that audience. And so what I want you to do is name it. I want you to create a process around it, and I want you to add a clear pre-qualifying step for it. So if I'm working with teachers, and I'm going to create a plan and this is going to be a really good thing for you to think about for back to school, is a back to school plan your academic year, right? So the service would be planning an academic year worth of vacation, right? So adequately take their time off and plan it around. And this is what I love about working with teachers and people with schedules like this, is that you can plan all of their entire year's worth of vacation time planned around all of the holidays and their time off. I actually calculated this one time for, I actually had a service called Plan Your Time Off, and I usually used to offer it in January during Plan Your Time Off, that national holiday. And we would look at somebody's vacation and all the holidays that they get off and look at everything that they've got in terms of downtime plus their vacation time. And we would then create this wonderful bundle. That service could be a signature service that you offer. The next question I want you to ask yourself is, can you add a system to automate the client journey? And for you, Tasha, you absolutely can, right? Templates for onboarding, emails, proposals, and prep guides. You already know that your teachers, particularly on these long weekend trips, that they can't go somewhere for 7 days and they can't take 7-day trips all the time, but they can do weekend trips. And you can create offers and you can create packages around these weekend holiday trips. Like, I'm so excited for you. You can create weekend packages around that. You can create templates around, you could package it. Your proposal should be standard because you know, like, okay, I'm going to have 7 weekend getaways every year to accommodate my teachers because I know that they're going to be off for, what's the next major holiday? Memorial Day. They're going to be off for, they're going to be off all during the summertime. But then you think back to school, the first back to school is Labor Day. Then after Labor Day, then maybe they've got Columbus Day. And then they've got, you could create all of these packages and downtime opportunities for them to take. And you lay that before them. So don't wait for them to say, when do I want to go on vacation? You create this sort of teacher calendar of opportunities for them to take trips based on the school year calendar. I mean, I don't know what town you're in, but this is a really great thing for you to do. So can you systematize the client journey? Absolutely. For your client, you can. I want you to think about what a 3-step booking workflow is. You don't need to potentially have discovery calls. You can already create packages that people can go into and they can buy into it. And that would eliminate your need to have discovery calls with every single one. Listen, I'm going to do, you can reserve cruise space and be like, okay, we're going to have a, next Memorial Day cruise. You can buy into this. There's all sorts of things that you can do to systematize your particular client and their journey. Next question is that I want you to ask yourself is, can you raise your price? Yes. For you, Tasha, the answer is absolutely you can, because you're charging nothing. So you absolutely should raise the price to something and charge for your time, particularly if you're doing custom quotes. So I want you to think about the value that you bring, not the hours, because it may only take you an hour to design a trip, but the value that you bring to someone in terms of saving them time, creating these already prepackaged no-brainer thoughts that people can buy into without anything, and it's already aligned to their schedule, is a gold mine for you. Most advisors undercharge for white glove planning services. What I know about you advisors is that you guys are over the top in terms of what you deliver in terms of your service and what you give your clients, but you don't charge anything for it. And because you feel like that you haven't learned how to articulate that value, and that's got to stop, and it needs to stop today. What I want you to do is I want you to start by increasing your planning fee. If it's $0, start at $100. I want you to commit to yourself that you're going to at least charge $100 for your next planning thing. Then I want you to build out the tiers of service. What is that going to include? So for example, if you're booking luxury honeymoons or doing something manually, I want you to repackage that into a Luxe Escape signature experience, right? Tasha, I just gave you like an entire coaching session in this session of ideas for you to take your teachers into a signature offer and create something that they can bite into. People aren't going to, they're not going to it's not going to fall in your lap, you creating it's not even justify, create the value that you bring to the table. You've got to create it and talk about it yourself. So you are servicing teachers, I'm glad to hear that. I am so glad that you are enjoying that. Teachers are an underserviced market. Most of your clients that you work with are underserviced because no one's talking their language, and it's up to you to talk their language. It's up to you to identify how you are the bomb.com, and you can help them get out of town better, quicker, and easier than they ever could have thought themselves. All right, here's the last step in this process is I want you to prioritize for execution. I don't want you to overthink this, Tasha. right? And I'm speaking to you because you decided to comment, and I really love when people are commenting, is I don't want you to overthink this. I want you to start implementing this in layers. I don't want you to think, oh, well, I got to have this ready. I want you to commit $200 at minimum. I really like my clients to start with $250, but I don't know you yet. You may not be comfortable with that because it's really a mind thing. But let's just assume that you are comfortable with $250. Start with $250 and say the next person that comes, I'm going to, at minimum, define what is going to be included in that $250 that I'm going to charge, right? If it's $500, whatever number is going to make you smile, that's the number I want you to charge. And I want you to identify what that service includes. All right. Because frankly, every advisor says that they're ready to scale, but here's where they fall apart. They try to fix everything all at once. So I'm not asking you to try and implement a higher rate, try and come up with signature packages, come up with a signature service. I'm not trying to have you do all that. I want you to just pick one, do it, and then do the next thing, right? Pick one, do it, and next thing, right? You don't need to fix everything at one time, because when you try and go after too much at one time, you sabotage yourself, and we don't want you to do that. So here is an execution plan for you all. Take notes, ready? All right, so this week, quick win, what I want you to do is choose one high impact, low effort change you can implement in 60 minutes or less. Right? Raising your planning fee is a great one. I don't care what number you're at, raise it right now on your website. That's what I want you to commit to. I want you to rename your best-selling service. If you have a service that you provide, I want you to come up with a sexy name. If you know me, you know ChatGPT is going to be the place I'm going to tell you to go to help. I actually like Claude for this as well. So Claude AI. If you've got a service that you are doing and you don't have a cool name for it, and it's not clear about what it is, that's what I want you to work on this week. And then I want you to add 3-step visual to your inquiry page. What are the 3 steps it takes for somebody to get this service, right? So that's it. Raise the fee, come up with the name, and 3 steps to actually for somebody to buy this service from you. Notice I said, this is not, I want to go to Jamaica, right? This is, I want you to plan a trip to Jamaica, right? And that service has a name, has 3 steps to acquire it, and then you assign a price to it, okay? All right, that is the week strategy. A month strategy, this is mid-effort, right? So for a month, what I want you to do is I want you to build an onboarding sequence for yourself. So whatever CRM tool that you're using, if you're using Travel Pro Suite, I want you to think about, what does it mean for a new client to onboard with you? This is a longer mid-range effort for you to do. And I want you to ensure that you at least have some sort of automated travel request process. So when somebody schedules or wants to get a quote, what's that process look like for you? I want you to record a video walkthrough of your service process. What does that look like? Again, this is a 1-month effort for you to do. That's strategy number 2. Number 3, strategy. This is launch a signature offer in a funnel, right? So if you don't know how to do that, that may be a little bit of stress. This is a bigger project, but this is another thing. This is going to allow you to get clients on a regular basis. So if you've got a travel request process, and it's not necessarily in a funnel, I want you to think about how you do that. And then I want you to create 90 days worth of content. That's a quarter goal. This is what strategic execution looks like. So if you're talking about you're in famine, and you're not doing any one of these 3 things that we talked about, you're probably not working on the right thing. So what we want to do is stop working on the things that aren't going to get us what we want, and work on the things that's going to get us to more quotes, more bookings, more sales, right? Those are the things that we want to do. So did you like this framework? If you did, let me know in comments, because if you are not enrolled in our Travel Launch Challenge, which starts this Sunday, you're going to want to get there. If you are enrolled, I'll see you on Sunday. So this is my 3-day intensive, right? This is just 30 quick minutes of me kind of pouring into you all, but we are going to spend 3 days together. It's about an hour and a half each day, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And we're going to talk about your launch strategy and what it's going to take to do that. It is only $1 to join the strategy, and you're going to get over almost 5 hours worth of me pouring into you. Open Q&A during that. We'll do some worksheets. So we start this Sunday. You're going to go to onlinetravelboss.com/TLC to register for our TLC challenge. I'm going to walk you through how to define your niche. So even though you're working with teachers, Tasha, we need to get a little bit more specific to that. We want to make sure that you have a premium offer that sets you apart from other travel advisors. And we want to make sure that your business is structured for scale. And that is what we're going to cover in the 3 days that we are together. So listen, I don't want you to just think about what we talked about today. I want you don't just to nod and tell me that you love it. I want you to actually join. So if you're not a part of the challenge, go right now, register before you forget. It's onlinetravelboss.com/TLC. Tasha, you are already in. That is awesome. I will see you on Sunday. Lock your seat in, and I will see you all next week. I'm going to open it up to see if there's any questions. If you are joining me live and you'd like to ask a question, you can take yourself off mute and ask me. If not, I will see you guys next week.
Hi, my name's Cassandra.
Hi, Cassandra. How are you?
I am actually new to the travel world, and I came across your information online.
Awesome.
So, if you could give me, because I've booked travel for myself, because I'm an avid traveler, and book for my family. But if you could give me 3 things that I should be doing right now to begin building my clientele in the travel business, what would that be?
So we just sort of went over it today. We just went over 3 very powerful things that you could be doing. So if you're new, are you with the host agency? Are you independent? What are you?
No, I'm not with the host agency. And I'm not really independent. I'm trying to make up my mind regarding which host agency I should be with. Should I be with a host agency? Should I be independent? Those are things that I'm actually trying to discover at this very moment. And I know there's probably people on here that's been in the business for a long time.
My first recommendation is, are you signed up for the challenge? Because we're going to be going over this very thing over the next 3 days when we start on Sunday. Are you signed up?
I am signed up for that, for that event. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So that's number 1, is because the first thing that I would say is that you need, if you're new in the business, host agency aside, if you decide to go independent or you do go with the host agency, my recommendation for new travel advisors is to do a host if you have no experience with the travel industry, just so you don't have to worry about the overhead. That's number 1. Okay. So let's just put that aside. The first thing that I think every travel advisor needs to do, new, and even if you've been in the business a while, is one, you need to identify who is it that you want to help get out of town. Right. So when people think about niche, they think of a destination and they don't think about the people. We work with people. So you need to identify who. We'll go over that in the challenge. Number 2 thing that's important is you don't start with like trying to get people out of town. It's who you want to work with and what's your why. So number 2 is, why do you even want to do this business? This business is a very unique business compared to if you started a t-shirt business, right? You buy a t-shirt, you go buy the t-shirts, you mark it up and you sell it and you're done, right? Mm-hmm. We start a business in the travel industry, and if you don't structure it right, you're not going to get paid the first time you'll even see $1. You'll have done a year, sometimes a year and a half worth of work and not see $1. So it's very important that you structure the business. Mm-hmm. That one, make sure that it's going to be worth it, and your why is strong, right? Because it's not an easy business to just jump in and think that you're going to make money at, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then number 3 is you got to have an understanding of like where you're going to get clients. But if you start with number 1, that makes it so much easier. If you know who you want to work with, getting clients becomes so much easier. Most people start with travel and they're like, I'm going to do travel. They go get all this training about travel and they don't have a marketing of who they want to get out of town. So they don't know what to say to them. They don't know what their services are. They don't know anything about that. So start with the niche, who you want to help get out of town, figure out your why, and then build a marketing process around the 2 of those things.
Okay.
I look forward to seeing you on Sunday.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much.
You are so welcome. All right. So Tasha says that she just started on February 23rd with the host agency because I had no idea what I was doing. And that's okay. Starting with the host agency is okay to start with. I started with the host agency many years ago. And the reason why I say start with the host agency is because from an administrative perspective, being with the host just makes the connection to the suppliers so much easier, right? And it's not that it's difficult. It's just when you're trying to determine your niche, determine your marketing, get your system set up, get all of that set up, having that additional layer on by yourself without any sort of support is just extra work. And if you've got a finite amount of hours, I'd rather you spend your time and money on identifying your niche, identifying your services, getting a marketing plan put together, get all of that, dabble with some suppliers, do it at the expense of the host agency, and then jump in once you get everything established. But either way, you can, as a new person, you can be fully independent, or you could start with a host. That to me is just a matter of how much money you want to invest and the amount of time that you have available to do it. You can be brand spanking new and not need a host agency to be successful in this industry. All right, ladies and gents, if there are any gents on, it was great to see you live, and I will see you if you are registered for our TLC Travel Launch Challenge. I'll see you on Sunday. We start at 6 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, and I will see you there. Do not try and drive and do this. You're going to want to do this in front of pen and paper, because we will go over quite a bit. Listen, I will see you next week. If I don't see you this Sunday, have a great rest of your week, and I'll talk to you.